What's up, world? It's the OffBeat Podcast. It's the cast about the world of music and everything that can happen within it.
I think you nailed that. Thank you for that. Yeah, here we are. What's up, Eddie? How's it going, man?
Good, man. Good. I'm shoeless because I brought the wrong sneakers somehow. But I feel comfortable, so I'm good.
Well, yeah. I'm Rick.
I'm Sander.
With an X.
Yes.
Don't forget it, man.
Right.
We've been over this. With an X. So yeah, the OffBeat Podcast. Here we are, guys. New name, a little rebrand, a little fresh paint.
Hell yeah. Right in time for spring, right?
That's
Renaissance.
Right. The Renaissance.
Such a fitting word lately. Such a fitting word.
It's a good word. It's a good word. Have you seen Accidental Renaissance on Reddit? It's a great subreddit, guys.
No. That sounds amazing.
Modern day pictures where it looks like a Renaissance painting, but it's just like randos just like happen to be caught in some sort of a pose like that. It's awesome. It's awesome. But
I want to see that now.
Yeah. Link in the comments. Anyway, don't want to derail right off the jump here. But yeah, we wanted to kind of just have a little dialogue about why we decided to have a little bit of name change. To be fair, Yeet Another Podcast was always kind of a filler podcast name, but it worked. It served its purpose.
Yeah, it filled.
Rip Yeet Another Podcast.
Thank you.
Rest in peace.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Actually, there was another podcast that I listened to a billion years ago. Their origin podcast name was different than what it ended up being, and so it's kind of a similar we had this idea. We wanted to start this idea, but we really didn't know what it was until we fleshed it out a little bit more. So now that we've gotten there, why don't we kind of unpack a little bit for the people listening at home? Perhaps you're driving to work or making dinner, whenever you choose to listen to us. But yeah, so we landed on Eddie. One more time with the catchphrase, please. The slogan.
It's the cast about the world of music and everything that can happen within it.
Yeah, that sounds tasty when you say it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Need it in a sweater.
Big ups.
I like that.
So let's talk about it. Let's talk about why a music podcast. Xander, I think you, as one of my longtime friends, been into music. Obviously, whatever. Music is such a cliche. Oh, are you into music? Yeah, of course. Who the hell doesn't listen to music?
Right.
But let's talk about that, Xander. Like, why music? Why did we land there?
Well, the reason why, in my opinion, I think a music podcast, we needed to kind of go. Because when people ask for a podcast, they don't really know what kind of podcast they want to look after. So when you kind of brand it and this is a music podcast, they kind of know exactly what they're looking for in a podcast now. So I think the fact that you're a musician, you're an artist, you've been playing in church since I can remember you. My whole family can sing, except I. But his music is within us, just not me. But I love music. I'm very critical with music, and that's sometimes a gift and a flaw because you know what I'm saying. So, but when it comes to music, I think we all hold a very special place in our heart, and we have a lot to give, in my opinion. So this is why I think we went with that route as far as music podcast.
Well said.
Yeah, I'll finger snap for that.
Yeah,
I think that was a beautiful nugget.
Finger snap at home. Too.
Yeah. Just exactly one snap though. Just one.
Only one.
Eddie, what about you? What's your take on the rebrand and what that means to you?
I truthfully don't think I can add more than Xander did in terms of how we got there, but about the name in terms of specifics. One word, Dilla.
Yeah.
Proper noun. Definition. The man that changed hip-hop forever and breaks necks. Still, in heaven, he's still breaking necks, so that offbeat Dilla swing. Dilla's a producer in hip-hop that we all love, at least a little bit.
Yeah,
you can't not like Dilla at least a little bit. And the way his drums go and his beats all together, it's offbeat, but it's so nice. It's offbeat, but it's sweet, So that's kind of part of where we got it.
I'm going to put you on the spot, and I apologize in advance, but
no, cool.
You did a good job last time you did this. Can I get a sample of a Dilla beat, please?
Oh, yeah.
Just a little one. Just a little taste for the people. This is really good.
Yes.
This is legit really good. Like, because honestly, like, I think when we talk about offbeat, right? Like, I can spend hours talking about it. Like, a colleague of mine, musically, in Spanish, it's a contratiempo, right? Which is like when you do something intentionally offbeat, but it's on beat. It's offbeat, but it's on beat.
Yeah.
It's like messes with your perception of what you expected, or your, I guess it messes with your expectations.
Yeah.
But it's, you caught me off guard with that. Thank you. But it's satisfying musically, right? And so like Dilla is like, it's that, but it's different. It's for me, right? Because that's, when I think about contratiempo, I think specifically about like Latin music. Mm-hmm. And how Latin music has a lot of trippy, like a lot of syncopated musical cuts or hits or fills, whatever you want to call it, where like the whole band is doing the same thing. It's very syncopated. Mm-hmm. Love that stuff. Love that stuff.
Me too.
But with Dilla, it's like a flow that is, he made that. Like he made that, and it's unique to him. And I love that that's how we kind of arrived at this, like the OffBeat podcast, where like that's like the behind the scenes beat that's kind of like the foundation upon which we build the OffBeat podcast.
Correct.
Yeah.
Put a bow on that, guys.
Thank you.
Oh man, so it's been fun. It's been fun to sit here and I think part of the joy that we get is kind of being able to unpack this in front of everybody and say, you know what, we're not like, we don't have like this tightly run ship. Like we're kind of, we're on this journey, and we're hoping that you kind of come along this journey with us as we kind of like grow the brand, if you will. I mean, everybody's like a social media influencer, like whatever, right? Like I'm not trying to go out of my way to do that. I'm just trying to share my art, my flow, whatever speaks to me, in the same way that we're all trying to do that collectively.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. So Xander, that's a nice shirt you got there.
Oh, well, this is a surprise that we had today. Rick was supposed to forgot his
I'm really sorry, guys.
football jersey that we've been begging.
You know what? I apologize. I cross my heart and hope to die that on the next pod, I'll have it.
Okay, I'm going to do something here. Right here, there's a counter for how many times he's forgotten. Right there, right? Yep, we're both pointing to it. And that's a big. How many chances do we give him before something happens when this number hits?
I think we already given one too many already.
Yeah. So if he doesn't next time, he has to.
I'll wear it next time without an undershirt, so you'll get like some real chafed nips.
Wow.
Just like real like
some skin blades.
Yeah.
Skin blades. I like that.
So what's the surprise, Andrew? I'm sorry.
No, it's no surprise. This was the shirt that was supposed to be signed by Allen Iverson that day. So I wanted you guys to see it. Misunderstood also. Yeah. The ironic. Yeah, you know what? We gotta go back to our.
It is tragic. It is tragic.
It is a little bit. I'm not gonna go back to it. If you ever watch Allen, we're still waiting. Well, the kids are. Maybe myself too with the shirt signed. But hey, I'm not gonna get back to that again. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, that's okay. It's a great. I always wonder what y'all are gonna wear, to be honest, just because it's always like, and I decided to wear this piece today that I procured from the local, or the online, whatever. Like, it's just like, that's the thing I love about the internet, is that it has given us culture in so many different facets from so many different kinds of people that we would not have had access to previously. Like, I mean, just the fact that you can summon anything, bro, like, off topic, on topic. This is so dumb. There's a really cool entryway rack that keeps showing up on my Instagram feed, and I want it, but it's like kind of overpriced. I'm like, I don't really want to spend that much on that. It's like just a couple of shells, but to your point, Xander, I know you're like a big aesthetic guy, like where if something is designed the right way, it speaks to you, and you're like, that's nice. Like, because they took their time to dial in the details, right? And then when you see that, you're like, oh, that's crispy, man. I really like that. Oh, it's $500. Can't do it. Can't justify that. Nope. Hard pass. What about you? What do you got over there? You got a little mythical.
Yeah, you guys know Good Mythical Morning?
Good Mythical. Oh, GMM, of course.
Okay, good.
I mean, I watched them a little bit, but my son watched. I watched a lot of them because my son was into it for a long time, and I was like, those guys are doing it.
They're fantastic, yeah. And they started, humble beginnings. Like they were just like, they didn't have like a whole kitchen. Like whenever they did the eating, I don't know if you know Good Mythical Morning.
I don't.
Briefly, they're a YouTube channel and they do a bunch of stuff. Mainly, they do a lot of food stuff. So they'll make, for instance, Dr. Pepper, right? They'll make a drink. They have a whole kitchen staff, like whole kitchen. They'll make Dr. Salt, right? Like hypothetical opposites of stuff. So flaming hot Cheetos, icy cold Cheetos. You feel me?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Wow. Damn. Well, just circling back to kind of the rebrand and Offbeat and Dilla and Contratiempos and culture. The other aspect, Eddie, one more time with the slogan, please. I want to make sure that people get it.
The cast about the world of music and anything that can happen within it.
Yes. So speaking of the anything that can happen within it, that's the other part that I wanted to pull out a little bit more. Obviously, focuses on music, but also we can't escape culture, man. Culture is everything. Culture is what we live and die by, really, quite frankly. And you can see that by the color of our skin. You can see that by what we decide to wear, the different styles and whatnot. And I think our audience reflects that, Shout out to 413 and anybody listening to 413. We're here. We're doing it. We're doing it real big. And also just a big shout out to Shannon behind the camera here. Appreciate it. 413 Zone.
Thank you, bro.
Full Frame Media.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate the space. The studio is legit for your photography and video needs. Link in the comments once again. But yeah, speaking of culture, Eddie, I understand you worked on a little something recently. Just a little something. Did you want to share that with
a little tiny something?
Little tiny something. Wink, wink.
Wink,
I see
wink.
what you did there.
They'll get it in a little bit. So yeah. No, I did. People who don't know, Tiny Desk, NPR does a segment where they have various artists. They perform literally at a tiny desk with their band. They do a live rendition of their best songs. They do a contest now because it got so big, and they call upon people like little old me to say, hey, put in an audition. If we like it, you can do a Tiny Desk concert. So I did. So far, so good. I mean, I haven't really heard too much back, but they accepted my submission. My team, which they have some bias, but my team is saying, like I read the rules, and it looks like we check really high on X, Y, and Z. Either way, it was great content. I had so much fun. You guys can see that. I don't know, we'll link it, or I don't know.
Yeah, we'll definitely
check my
make
social media.
Yeah, for sure. But tell us about maybe a little bit of the inside baseball, like what went into the preparation for that, like what went into just logistically, unpack, because I'm sure to do what you guys, to execute on what you guys executed on, I'm sure it took a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, making sure that everything was really tight, because the final product was super, super polished. So you don't just arrive there. It took effort. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Believe it or not, it only took us 2 rehearsal days, because the day of we rehearsed through that to that take.
Oh, yeah.
But 1 rehearsal date prior to that, week before. But we rehearsed, and then we had to get Psych, who's the feature artist, my homie Psych, on there. And that was a little rough because he didn't get that extra day of rehearsal starting off. So we kind of had to he did great, but he was very critical of his takes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we had to do a couple takes to get it in. Let's see what else. We've done this song before, so it was familiar. It was my song Return 6, and we had done it before, so the band kind of had some familiarity. They're like, oh yeah, it was in this key, it was this, but we had to still do a lot of learning the song. Even me, my own song, I had to learn the breaks, where the beat stopped, and when to go high and stuff like that. And I experimented on my vocals. I tried to do some James Brown vocalization. What else? Video-wise, yeah, man. Shout out to a ton of people. This list is going to be just so long. But shout out to Silas, Crumb Stars. That's my guy. He does my video work forever at this point. He's really good at doing 360 camera. And that's one of the elements in the video that I think is going to make us stand out. So we had to, if he was there, right? So plot twist, he wasn't there at the shoot. If he was there, it would have been a little bit easier. But my friend Jake, he had to learn the 360 camera, which he did. And he did a bunch of homework for it, checked out the manual, and he did a great job of manning that. But yeah, shout out to Silas, shout out to Jake, shout out to Mike. They all did lighting, video, and editing for that. And that's all that it sounded like. At first, I was like, oh, it wasn't a lot. But then as I say, I'm like, it was a shit ton of stuff.
I mean, honestly, like the finished product, it's very obvious that you guys like didn't just throw it together. Like, I mean, gosh, can you imagine being like the moderators or like the guys who have to be like, all right, well, we're going to just sit here and go through these thousands of submissions and watch video after video. So like when you have something as eye-catching as that video that you guys put out, I really think like a resume, right? You have to do something that's going to make you stand out from the crowd, right? Mm-hmm. So that 360 cam is definitely like, okay, this is really trippy. Like the first time you guys cut to it, I was like, all right, this is kind of nuts. But like you guys integrated it really well where it wasn't like, I'm hitting you over the head with this, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of tastefully dropped it in when it felt right.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. What'd you think about it, man?
No, I liked it. I got the first video that came to mind was The Far Side. Doing that upside down video, and the camera keeps doing that. That's kind of the image that came to my mind when I saw your video. So it's really cool.
I love Far Side.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of the song, but it's
passing me. It's not passing me by, right?
I'm not sure if that's the title. I just know it's Far Side. The group has one of the main songs in the '90s. That the video was doing that kind of going around them. So that's what it came to. But one of the questions I have for you was, as an artist, what exactly, how old were you say, this is what I want to do with musically, I want to become an artist? The reason why I ask, because I'm sure there's a lot of people, I hope it's a lot of people watching and asking, okay, I want to be an artist. What are the steps that I have to do nowadays? Because before, you needed an A&R, manager, radio station. Now I feel if you have a computer, you have the world in front of you. Oh, yeah. So with that being said, let's say, hey, I want to become an artist. What are the tools and resources that a kid can use nowadays? Not even a kid, just somebody that can use nowadays that are wanting to take that step to be a musical artist. What do you think they should do?
Yeah, man, that's there's so many answers I can give because there's so many tools nowadays that are accessible. I can make beats. I didn't even get to show you that day that we were making beats. I can make beats on my phone, like good beats that I could sell, you know, with the right mixing, and you have that capability with the phone. You could also record your vocals on there. You can do distribution on your phone nowadays. I mean browser. Even if your distribution company doesn't have an app, you can do it through browser. So, more tailored to me answer, like I guess what I feel versus what is right. I think the biggest resource, this is gonna sound like my mom is telling me to say this, but your biggest resource is your parents. And I'm thinking now because back when I started, even though my mom, this is not to say that she didn't do a good job, but she wasn't equipped, meaning she wasn't in the music industry. And I have a video about this on my YouTube channel. So I'm reiterating some stuff, but my mom, she did fine. She did great in terms of getting me into the music industry without knowing anything. But she wasn't equipped. So had I realized that, instead of getting like mad at her for the stuff she said, I could have helped her get equipped. So to anybody, young artists, that's trying to get into it, equip your parents to help you. It's like I've used this analogy before too in my YouTube channel. A GPS. If you type in the wrong directions into a GPS, where's it going to take you? Right. The wrong place. But if you put in the right stuff into the GPS, it'll take you to the right place. So, in short, educate your parents. Give them resources. Even if you can't quite understand the resources, like articles or whatever, give it to them so that way they can help you and use them to get you out of trouble. I had a manager that wasn't nefarious, but she definitely just like made money off of me, and I didn't really go anywhere using that manager. If my mom known about it, that lady would be blacklisted everywhere, dead maybe, you know. So, yeah, your parents. That's the biggest resource.
Man, nice. Well said, man. I mean, I think, excuse me, I don't think we celebrate our parents enough, honestly. And granted, People have different parents. You know, some parents are more involved than others. Some parents are deadbeat parents, for lack of a better phrase, quite frankly. I mean, those people are out there, right? But I think if you get a good support system behind you, like, you can achieve anything. And I think a lot of people who are successful nowadays, like, a big part of that is, like, they receive that energy, like, from their parents or from, like, their
guardians.
Their guardians. Thank you. That's absolutely more universal. And I think really, in today's day and age, I mean, we talk about this on the pod here, but, like, the fact that the internet facilitates so many things, like, I think one of my personal struggles, I guess, is when I articulate points like that, it sounds very like, well, of course, it's matter of fact. Of course the internet is a resource. But, like, there's so many things that become second nature to you that you don't realize how good you are at that until you talk to somebody who's completely unaware that exists, right? So, like, not to pick on older people, but, like, you know, if you talk to somebody from, you know, the older generation and you're like, hey, did you know that you can do this, this, and this on the internet? You know, like, I mean, the amount of people, no disrespect, a lot of people still writing checks, putting a check in the mail to pay a bill. I would never do that. Like, I would rather die than to write a check to pay a bill. Like, where's the app? What website do I have to go to? Boom, done, right? Remember, sidebar, you remember, like, how many convenience stores would let you pay your utility bill there?
Yes.
Bro. Like, I don't know if that was like a hood thing, but definitely, like, the, like, little what do you call them? Spanish store for little market. What's it called?
Bodegas?
Bodegas.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yes.
Bodegas. Absolutely, man. You can pay.
Like Medina's or whatever.
Medina's Market, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, Medina's Market on Ray Street in Holyoke back in the day. Bro, that was like the spot after, like, okay, Sunday service. You go to Bible school in the morning. Break is like at, I don't know, let's call it 11. Boom, you get break. You go to Medina's Market, literally just to walk down the street. You get your little 25-cent, what do they call them, the little jugs?
Yeah.
Are they called jugs?
They might have been jugs.
This juice, right?
It's like straight up Kool-Aid, basically.
Yeah, it's called jugs, I think. Yeah.
You bite that thing,
Yeah.
you pierce the aluminum, or you can rip it off, but, you know, you like to.
Biting is cool.
Biting is way cooler, absolutely. And you get your, like, man, there's these chips I used to just destroy all the time. I forget what they were called. Not Funyuns. What are the wavy ones that weren't Sun Chips? They weren't Sun Chips, but they were like Beta Sun Chips.
I know this too.
They had a little wave to them.
Yeah.
I forget what they were called, but man, I am just showing my age. Let me reel it in, guys. I'm sorry. Point I was making. Generationally, distinguishing between what's available, internet, young people. You know, I know young people, like, you give them a smartphone, like, it's like second nature. Like, it's an extension. Like, they know how to use a smartphone. But some of the more advanced tools that might be available to them, that stuff is like, okay, go to YouTube, watch a tutorial video, learn how to use the products. Like, a lot of the stuff that I learned how to do was just go to YouTube, learn how to do it. I watched DJ Jazzy Jeff give like a 15-minute demo on Serato Studio. Watching that guy do anything on anything is entertaining, but watching him play with that software, I was like, I want to punch this guy so hard. Because what he was able to do in such a short amount of time was, like, absolutely mind-blowing, man. That guy's so talented. But yeah, man, YouTube tutorials.
Yeah. They're life changers, life savers, not life changers, excuse me. So,
I mean, a little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Yeah, that's true. But when it comes to just, because before, I'm thinking about it beforehand, when you needed a job to be done, you usually have to call a professional to do it for you, or have a family friend or somebody to help you. But now, I was just talking to my friend, Javier, shout out to Javier, I just with him. Like you said, it's a matter of, it's a mindset. If you really want to do something, if your mindset is there, you really could do it. It's just a matter of mindset. If you really want to get it done, if your mindset there, get it done. To Javier, by the way, this is him. I love it. Yeah, so he said it's a YouTube video he did. I believe he did his back breaks. YouTube video. Next thing you know, back breaks are done. He would have never thought he would have done those, but he did his back breaks. That's what I'm saying. Little things like that. I think YouTube can be such a huge resource. It still is to me. To learn anything. I'm talking about anything and anything there is out there. Literally is how to, whatever it is. You get millions of videos showing you how to do this. So I think that's a huge resource. So YouTube and Google have been like my college and professor for like ever. I learned so much through them. I get so much information. So kudos to YouTube. And I don't no ad marketing here for them. No.
But
so, to those two guys.
But if you want to sponsor us.
Bro, that Google juice, man. Listen, I mean, you nowadays the internet doesn't exist, right, without like the backbone that is Google. And not to say infrastructure, but more just like it's just how everything operates.
Right.
That's like true. You can't avoid it.
Right.
You know, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, that's true.
Are you gonna Bing that? No, I'm not gonna Bing that.
Internet Explorer, though.
Okay, I don't want to go there, but there is DuckDuckGo. I don't like it. I think it's the name.
What is that?
It's a search engine. It's like the.
Is it?
It is.
Your homies have never heard of it.
It's like a private search engine. I'm sure you know more about it. I don't like the name, but there's a new one. Damn it, I think it's called Nevo. Neevo. Are you online? If you don't mind.
Let's look that up, guys.
It's a decentralized type Google.
Oh.
I'm not sure if Nego is. I think it's Neevo. If you can find it, it's fine. Decentralized,
kind of like parse that out for the audience.
Got it. Neva.
Neva.
Neeva.
Correct.
Excuse me.
Can you read what that is?
It says, tired of ads clogging up your search results? Hate being followed around the web? Try Neva. 100% ad-free search engine, totally private. So it seems like it's another. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this particular product.
I just heard about it. I did a little search. It's very similar to Google when it comes to it, but it's a private, I guess.
Yeah.
So just in case you guys are getting sick of Google, try that out.
Hey, that's a good plug.
Neva, run that check.
Just saying.
Please, my address. Yeah, like I mean, whatever. We could spend a lot of time talking about that, but I really think the point I want to super drive home is like to your point, right, about DuckDuckGo. Like I happen to use DuckDuckGo.
Oh.
And when I can't find what I'm looking for, I go to Google. But like it's a good search engine because it's private, whatever. So to tie it all back together, like knowing that resources exist, but assuming that everybody else knows that's I think where there's a distinction, right? So hopefully to our listeners and to whoever who might be watching, this might be a resource, right? Where we can share some of those tool sets, share some of those things that we've come across that have been useful for us. Yep. I mean, I can't tell you like XLOUNGE YouTube channel. Xander and I were, we've spoken about this before on the podcast, but we were trying to figure out a way to create visualizers where the music was syncopated to, where the visuals were syncopated to the beat. And so we came across a website called Visi.io, where it's literally, here it is. Just upload the song, pick and choose whatever you want, boom, 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 export. And here it is. Now you have a MP4 with the song you wanted, with the visuals that you selected, with the background and everything. Excuse me. And it's just a web-based tool, right? You don't have to pay for anything. It's just there it is, right? So, but there's a million websites like that. And shout out to all the TikTokers who do this. There's like, I don't know, sites you didn't know existed, part 87, right? And it's just this like random people like, here's another website you probably never heard of where you can do this, you know? Like the roulette thing that.
Oh, yeah.
About. What's the name of that thing? Pickwheeler?
.io probably.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
Most likely.
Yeah, it seems like that .io one caught on pretty good. Man, but yeah, so tool sets are awesome. The other thing that, again, just while we're tying it back to music creation, being able to leverage tools, I think, Xander, one of the things that I wanted to kind of pick your brain about a little bit, and I'm sure you guys have noticed by now, but like, I think we're like, there's like I heard a statistic the other day. I'm going to tie it back, but I heard a statistic the other day that said something like people stop listening to new music around the age of 30 years old. And so then that got me thinking. I'm like, okay, I am fond of the 90s music, early 2000s music, because that's like, you know, growing up, teenage years. Like, and so you like think back on that era with a bit of nostalgia, right? And like, I remember that song, you know, remember where you were when you listened to that song for the first time. But like, I think at the same time, right, so there's nostalgia, but then there's like, was this actually good? Or was it just my nostalgia telling me that it was good, right? And I feel like, this might be biased, But like 90s music was this beautiful sweet spot of magic, just magic. And I feel like, Xander, no disrespect, this is a compliment. Like you were like unapologetically hip hop 90s. And I absolutely love that because I get so much like enjoyment out of that because like I lived through that, you know, especially growing up in Holyoke. Like that's all we listened to, you know. And so, like for you, like what did it mean for you to have like today in 2022 to still be able to listen to something like, I don't know, you know, Wu-Tang, yeah, Biggie, exactly. Like is it just like that's nice, or is it like these guys were pioneers. These guys were ahead of it. Like, what? Just kind of maybe just tell me a story about like what that means to you. You know?
Yeah. When it comes to music, I think a lot of it has to do with feeling. I believe we spoke about this before. Whenever you hear a track, something that takes you to a place, a certain feeling that you can only get from a certain track or a certain artist. So when it comes to a lot of music from the '90s, every decade has a sound. Mm-hmm. So the '90s sound always have been one of my favorites. So when you hear something that has a '90s sound, whether it's new or somewhat old, I always get that feeling.
Dude.
So that's the main reason why I like that '90s sound feeling. So for example, let's just say, like you said, just Wu-Tang. I could be at the gym, I could have a playlist, and all of a sudden a Wu-Tang song comes on. That feeling comes on. So that nostalgic feeling of, oh, damn, I forgot how good this verse was. And I forgot about how good this guy was and his flow and whatnot. So you go back to a lot of places that made you feel really good in a certain age. So at that time, because the music is a young man's game. I honestly truly believe that. No matter how good you are, if you're a 50-year-old rapper, you're just not going to be that good out there and not going to be the quote-unquote hot rapper. So age has a lot to do with music. So if it could take you to that childhood or that young memory that could really make you feel good, I think that's the reason what the 90s meant to me when it comes to music. So when it comes to that, hip-hop was a big part. And I was talking to Eddie recently about this at the gym. He was like, hey, do you listen to rock? Is there anything else you listen to? And at that time, I don't know what it was that it was weird to listen to rap if you listen to hip-hop. It wasn't okay for what I was from. I'm not saying for everybody. People would be like, what are you talking about? Listen to rock too. That's fine.
Listen to rock. Right?
Rock. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Rock.
Cool.
So like where I was from, in the neighborhood I was from, it was just hip-hop. And if you listen to rock, you were getting made fun of. I don't know why that is, but that's how it was back then. So that's kind of threw me back to the rock side. I didn't listen to that because of that. Because we're young, that actually matters when you're a young kid. You know, oh, they're going to make fun of you if you... So that really does... Because you're older now, you're like, that's stupid. But as you're young, that actually does matter. So I still remember one of the first rock songs that I heard was from my friend who let me know Guns N' Roses. I told you about. And I fell in love with how good Slash was. So I love Axl. I love his tone, his demeanor, his I don't give a damn attitude, and then his voice. But that freaking Slash, when he get on, I was like, damn, this is a complete different ball game. Very different from like the urban world and hip hop world, because this is more like it's a mess in a way, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I like that type of rock. I didn't mind it. And then my friend showed me it was more rockish, heavy metal, and that's when I was like, that I cannot do. There's nothing against it, it's just I can't. And I have a friend of mine who loves this stuff. And if you look at him, you'll think, how the fuck do you listen to this? Because he looks very, the typical hood guy, quote unquote, but he loves heavy metal rock when he goes on his car. And he's just shouting and then it's just like, whoa, man. And again, it all depends on a feeling.
True.
To him, that feeling might be like, yeah, let's freaking go, let's do this. To me, I'm just like, take this off, please. I cannot do this. So that feeling part, I think, is a big, big point to where the music takes.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think like when you were talking about the 90s sound or the 90s feel, like I immediately thought about the I mean, maybe it's like a year old. It was Bruno Mars and Cardi B.
Yeah.
It was like the super 90s sounding. I'm like, why is this song so good, man? Because I was like, I don't know, man. It just hit all of those right feels. And I'm like, damn, man, these guys really nailed this. But whatever. Bruno Mars is like insanely talented. So give it up to that guy. Did you have any 90s commentary you want to add? Being of a different generation than Xander and I here. I didn't know if you had any feedback on that.
Yeah, I wasn't around in the 1800s, so I can't speak on it like you guys.
Get out, man. Jeez. So,
just going to leave.
I have one thing I want to bring up that we spent a lot of time talking about Kanye on the pod. Kanye obviously being a very super talented person. This particular conversation, not so much about Kanye. I saw this on Reddit a couple days ago, and I wanted to bring this up because I thought it was a beautiful take. So I'm just going to read this, and feel free to have your rebuttal. But I'm gonna give the first response to my man Xander here. So this is on the subreddit Unpopular Opinions. Okay. Quotes. Drake is an absolute shit rapper with shit lyrics and even shittier ideals, and anyone who thinks otherwise has the brain/creativity of a lamp. Okay. So, several comments, of course. So let's just let that one marinate. But this take right here, I'm gonna read one of the replies that I was like, well thought out replies. Okay. This is actually a fair rebuttal. All right, here we go. I'm going to just read this verbatim. It says, Drake in the early days was actually an incredibly innovative artist who transformed the rap industry. The thing is, the Drake sound isn't about the rapping or the lyrics. It's about the overall production and the sound that he pioneered. Drake is one of the rare rappers that came up as part of a rapper/producer duo with Noah 40. Shabib?
Yeah,
Shabib.
Yeah, this person knows what they're talking about.
A childhood friend who exclusively produced for Drake and vice versa. He goes on to say, Drake and 40 created a totally unique sound that blended rapping, R&B, singing, and icy smooth synth beats in a way that hadn't been done before. It was heavily inspired by Kanye's 808s and Heartbreak on the electronic side, an album that was ridiculed when it came out and is now considered one of the most influential albums of all time, in large part because of how it influenced Drake. Plus, added in these icy, ghostly sounds that were cold like the city they were from and became the Toronto sound.
Wow.
Shall I continue?
Yes.
Okay. This is a good. I'd say it was a good take.
Wow.
It was a good take. Drake also made it cool to be a rapper/singer again, which was super out of style in the gangsta/macho 2000s rap era. The only one doing it was T-Pain, and he was basically a joke in the rap world for it. As Drake got big, though, he stopped recording tracks exclusively with 40, and he brought in the normal Hollywood rotation of music producers who all make the same factory pop songs and recycle them between different artists. Plus, the sound he pioneered has now been adopted by everyone, and he hasn't really innovated much since. So it all sounds stale now, so it goes. So again, I'll read the topic question was, Drake is an absolute shit rapper with shit lyrics and even shittier ideals, and anyone who thinks otherwise has a brain creativity of a lamp. So I've been a big Drake fan for a long time. I'll be honest, Xander put me on to Drake, and full disclosure, I might have been under the influence of a little bit of green. And so at the time, I was like, God, this is gonna make me sound so emo, but I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna keep it real for the people. Okay. I was like, just beginning a divorce, right? So like, as we know, Drake pretty emotional with his lyrics, right? Like, what's that? Doing It Wrong song. Oh my God, that song when it came out, like it was right around the time of my divorce. So I'm like, yo, I'm kind of feeling this, like hard. Plus, I was a little bit stoned. So, like, it was like, like I was getting destroyed. So, I'm going to pitch it over to Xander to kind of pick up where I left off there. So, like, that was my intro to Drake, was like super feels, basically.
Which makes sense. That's like,
yeah, man.
I'm guessing that's Take Care. That era, 2012.
It was right around like
11.
What's the one where he's standing on top of the text?
Oh.
What's that one?
On top of like the water tower?
Nah, it was like it was like a mixtape that eventually became an album.
Not Thank Me Later. So Far Gone.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like red and black and white.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Yeah.
So
It was during that era.
Well, when it comes to this, there's always this hate that this guy has. And this is my theory on him. I agree with everything that the guy said.
The follow-up comment?
Yes.
Yeah.
The beginning, not the first comment.
Unpopular opinion.
The reason why I agree with the rebuttal is because when he came out, yes, there were guys that were trying to sing and rap, just didn't work out very well. And nobody really cared. Even if you tried it, it was like, don't do that. But when Drake did it at the beginning, it worked. So I remember the first time I heard him was Replacement Girl, which was Drake, Trey Songz. Yeah. I was like, who's this dude? And he sang, then he rapped. I was like, that's pretty cool. After that, like that guy was saying, he had this sound that, again, at that time, the music game didn't have, and they took it by storm. They just take it, and they did it, and it worked. And it got to the point, in my opinion, that, like you said, I think he conquered so much, and he was like that kid in school that everybody knows, super popular, and a lot of times, that's not good for any artist. Too much popularity, too much fame can get to you. I think he got to the point where he felt that he got so good that he started giving people a shot. Because when Drake got in your song blew
automatic
up. It was gold.
Yeah.
I remember the first time when I saw him do that was with that dude from Tuesday. I still don't remember his song. Whatever.
I love McConan.
Yes, that guy.
It's going up on a Tuesday.
Yeah, if you hear that song alone, you'd be like, take this shit off the radio or off my car. But you put Drake in it, it was a smash hit all over the place. So you already knew that this guy, he has that, whatever he's on, he's gonna hit. And I think that's the problem that happened to him. I think he just became that guy. And every song that he was doing was kind of popish. And he was like a Playboy rapper, very pop rapper. And I think anything associated with pop in the music gets hated on a lot.
Yeah. Right.
So I think he's that pop rapper that people point at, Drake this and Drake that. But when it comes to music, the music that he actually makes with his team is good music. So if you don't like it, that's another thing. But to say is all that stupidity that I just said, that's really biased to say what he said. If you don't like it, I get it. But to say it's not good music, it's just not. It's not true.
It's just shock value too.
Yeah,
like that person's just trying to be shock value. Cause ready, hot take, return coming at you.
Return 6.
Return 6. Purists of any kind, whatever, do your thing. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm just saying, I think you are closing your mind, and you lack the creativity and what did he say? Brain power.
Yeah,
you have the creativity or brain power of a lamp because. And I know I'm not hitting you with this because you're not a purist. You do like the 90s, but we've talked about other things.
Of course.
And that's how it is. I think you prefer the 90s. That's cool. Again, like I said, it's cool. Even if you only do purist of whatever genre or thing you like, sure. But you can't, if you're going to be a purist, you can't talk about anything else. You can't because you didn't experience it, So that dude is doing shock value. That dude lacks creativity because Drake... First of all, was a backpack rapper. He was rocking with these guys that guy probably likes. Elzai, did you know that? He was rapping with Elzai and Big Pooh, and there's another guy that Dwele, and
these are all Detroit artists, by the way.
Yes, very big. Dilla worked with them, and or Dilla's people worked with them. Artists. I don't know what other cosign you can give. Besides, like, other than Dilla, to be like, all right, that dude is legit. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure Drake had Dilla beats. He mentioned him in a song, he's worked with Elzai. Like the Elzai, that was his cat back in the day, So I say that to say, if you think he doesn't, full stop. I am not the biggest Drake fan. I don't dislike him. I used to dislike him because it was cool, and I think that's what this guy's doing. It was cool to dislike Drake. And it was easy. It was just like so easy to dislike him. But I respect him regardless. Even back then when I thought it was cool to dislike him, I respected him because a lot of his stuff has got me to where I'm at. Like Thank Me Later, like the beat choices, the stuff he does, the singing and rapping. I don't know if I would have made that. Maybe Kanye would have been the person to get me in that direction, but I think Drake perfected that sing and rapping. So yeah, I think that's just a bizarre, like, it's silly. It has to be a joke,
It was fun to read the comments because I'm like, somebody's got a hot take on Drake. Let's read this. So 2 things I want to call out. Number one, it kind of like is a nice tie into the earlier point you made about how people, hip hop, and then you're not allowed to listen to rock music, right? Purists, right? And then to your point about Drake, like because he broke through from hip hop into mainstream, where it was just like, you've made it when your name is literally one syllable and everybody knows who you're talking about, like a Beyonce, right? Like it's pretty impressive, although Drake is literally one syllable.
Okay.
And so I think it's important to distinguish that because while he was birthed from hip hop, he crossed over into mainstream, which, let's face it, that's where all the eyeballs are, right? Because it's all, just super mainstream, easy, palatable. You can understand the lyrics, right? Because like some of like the modern day hip hop with whatever the twang is, or like the phrases, and I'm gonna butcher whatever the appropriate terminology is for like types of rap or types of flows, whatever that is. Everybody's got their own different flow. Some people are really hard to understand. Like, okay, try to understand like a Busta Rhymes bar, especially when he's going in on like speed, or like Eminem, like when he really like dial in, like I can't follow that, but like I might be able to listen to Snoop or Dr. Dre because they're not going that fast half the time,
Right.
So I can make out the story or the narrative that they're telling. So
Drake falls in the latter, is what you're saying.
yeah, it's a little bit easier to follow, a little bit easier to listen. Like, he's telling a story. Let's listen to the story. Wow, he's talking about, something that happened to him. This is cool. What's he talking about? So I don't know. For me, like that's something to distinguish. The other thing I'd like to highlight as part of the OffBeat podcast is, I don't know if you guys noticed, but again, deep, rich musical knowledge from you guys, and I always really enjoy.
You too.
Hey, listen, man, I got plenty. I got stuff back here, but I just really enjoy the fact that you guys just have such a like. It's almost like when you watch, like, okay, so when I watched the movie Dune, I was not exposed to the deep lore of the universe that is Dune, right? The Dune books, the characters, whatever. And so upon watching the film, I was like, yo, this is awesome. This is awesome. I want to kind of know more about this world. And so, like, you guys each collectively are your own books with deep lore within there, right? Because you guys have like a catalog of knowledge through your years of exposure to listening to music. And some people might have that superficially, but I feel like you guys, the references that you guys are making about like, oh yes, Drake was studied with this person from this era. I would never know that. You know what I mean? And I love those little nuggets that you can only find here on the OffBeat Podcast.
Air fist bump. Air fist.
There it is. There it is. So I feel like it's a good stopping point. We'll take a little break here, you guys. We'll definitely come back with a little bit more. But thank you guys for hanging out. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Appreciate you guys. Nothing but love.